Chapter 48. That night, I stumbled into bed feeling like one massive bruise. Evan kept thanking me for what I had done, but I didn't really think I was the hero he was making me out to be. There was just something that needed to be done, and I did it. I slept like a baby, free of the cage of my past. The next morning, I woke to a series of huffs and impatient pants. Pulled from a dream I couldn't remember, I woke to Odin's familiar yellow eyes in my face. I wasn't sure how the hellhound had gotten in. To my memory, he wasn't inside last night. I really needed to do some in-depth research on how hellhounds worked. So far, I knew they couldn't be killed, and somehow they could get into places that were locked up tight. Okay, I'm up, I lied, rolling over in bed. My body ached at that simple action. Cuts across my face and bruises over my whole body reminded me the cost of what being a hunter really meant. On the nightstand next to my bed, my phone lit up like a Christmas tree. There were messages from Mrs. Grundy, Shannon, and to my surprise, Michael. Shannon was inviting us all over for breakfast. Shockingly, even Evan was on the text. Mrs. Grundy was wondering how we were feeling, and Michael announced training would resume in 2 days' time after he got back from an out-of-town appointment. There was a gentle knock on my door. "Come in," I called to the closed door. "Are you decent?" Evan asked from the other side. "I've been through enough lately. I don't need to undergo retinal scarring on top of it all." "Please," I snickered. "You're usually the one gallivanting around in that robe of yours with whatever model you're dating at the time." "It is a kimono," Evan corrected, opening the door wearing said kimono. "From Japan, no less. Please, have some respect." I couldn't take him seriously as I laughed and rose from bed. Evan gave off a good-natured chuckle, looking over at Odin with a frown. "How'd Cujo get in? I didn't let him in." "I don't know." I headed for the restroom to relieve myself and brush my teeth. "That's a Grundy question." "You get the text about breakfast at Shannon's this morning?" Evan inquired through the closed bathroom door. "Yep, you going?" I asked. "I don't know. It's kind of weirding me out," Evan said. "What if this is all some kind of ruse to kill me by putting garlic in my omelet?" "I thought you said garlic doesn't affect you," I answered, going over to the mirror, washing my face and not really fixing my hair, just making sure it wasn't absolutely out of control. "Besides, I don't think she's going to kill you. She's had plenty of opportunities thus far." "I'm kidding about the garlic," Evan replied. "But you know what? You're right. I think I'm starting to make some headway with our female hunter friend. She might not be so eager to drive a stake through my heart now." "Or chop your head off with her katana," I added around a mouthful of suds as I brushed my teeth. "Maybe this is the olive branch. It can't be easy for her after what happened to her sister. This is some real headway to healing for her." I opened the door to the bathroom to see Evan with a thoughtful expression on his face. "What's that look?" I asked. "Are you about to get emotional?" "You're the emotional one, for the record, and no," Evan said with a sigh. "I've just been doing a lot of thinking about... Well, I'll tell you at breakfast. Let me go throw on some clothes." Evan exited my room, leaving me to put on my jeans, Converse, and a plain black shirt. Odin seemed content to wait for me as I dressed. I met Evan at the front door a few minutes later. He was wearing slacks and a button-up dress shirt as if he were going to a meeting. There was a briefcase in his right hand. "You planning to put on a presentation at breakfast?" I asked him. "I already tried selling Mary Kay. That is like a cult, by the way. I don't know if everyone there is drinking the Fresca or if it was just my area manager, but they were promising me everything from vacations to cars. After a year, I was given a cup." "Nope, no Mary Kay today, my good man," Evan said, waggling his eyebrows. "This is something else. Come on, I'll tell you all at breakfast." Odin and I followed Evan out the door and down to Shannon's apartment. I was about to knock when Mrs. Grundy's voice greeted me with a, "Come in." "How does she do that?" I muttered as I stepped into the apartment. "Anyway, that was the second time I was thrown in jail for trespassing," Shannon said, We've all been there, dear, Mrs. Grundy answered before sipping a steaming cup of coffee. Shannon worked in the kitchen, flipping pancakes, scrambling eggs, and turning sausage on her stove. Mrs. Grundy sat at the kitchen island as content as ever. Good morning, ladies, Evan said with a smile. Good morning, Evan. John, Odin, Mrs. Grundy returned his greeting. Stinky, bloodsucker, thanks for coming, Shannon said, looking up from her work in the kitchen. Still with the bloodsucker, huh? Evan asked. Don't push it, Shannon gave Evan a raised eyebrow. I'm still coming to grips with you actually being in my apartment. And why are you dressed like you're going to try and convert me to your cult? I'll behave, Evan promised, taking a seat next to Mrs. Grundy. Once everyone is settled, I have a bit of a business proposition for all of you. Speaking of business, John, Mrs. Grundy said to me from her barstool seat. You haven't signed your contract with the court. No pressure, but until you do, we can't pay you. There's another $4,000 coming your way after last night. Right, I have it here, I said, pulling the folded contract out of my back pocket I'd stuffed there before we left for breakfast. The paper was stained, wrinkled, and torn in a few places from me always carrying it around, reading and rereading sections. Maybe I was making a bigger deal about the contract than I should, but it was a big deal to me. To me, it represented more than a new job. It meant that I was for the first time in my life going to be the one protecting the weak. I'd been the victim throughout my whole life, whether it was bullying, relationships where I was used, or a pawn in someone else's business campaign. Signing the contract meant I was done with those things. To me, it meant I was willing to put myself in harm's way to help those who would be victims. It's a calling, Mrs. Grundy said, reading my hesitancy. You're not wrong to be so reluctant. Breakfast will be ready in a few minutes, Shannon said, handing Evan and me each a cup of coffee. She gave me a pen along with my cup. Come on, partner. I'll do this by myself if I have to, but you're a good meat shield to throw in the way. I looked up from my contract to see the smile on Shannon's face. She was still limping a bit from her fight with Tracy the night before. There was a bandage on her neck and fresh cuts on her face. I don't think I could go back to my old job now that I know the truth, I admitted, putting my coffee down on the kitchen island. I flipped to the back of the contract and used Shannon's pen to sign my name. Oh, thank the Lord, Mrs. Grundy gave off a long, relieved sigh. Given all you know and all you've seen, I was going to have to kill you if you refused to sign now. I looked up with a smile and laugh on my lips. Mrs. Grundy stared back deadpan. Wait, you're kidding, right? I blurted, wide-eyed. You're joking. That was a joke. Tell me you weren't going to kill me. Mrs. Grundy just took a sip out of her coffee cup. Well, now that we officially have 2 hunters signed with the court, I would like to take this time to make my presentation, Evans said, opening his briefcase and handing all 3 of us identical folders. As much as the smell of sausage and coffee worked up my appetite, I was actually eager to see what Evan had been hinting at all morning. I looked down on my dark gray folder that had 3 words written on the cover. Hunters for hire. Going forward, I know you 2 are going to be busy working on cases for both the court and other business that comes your way, Evans said, talking with his hands and making eye contact with each of us. I was planning on opening my own modeling agency, but then I started to wonder what it would mean to open a business that employed hunters who could do some real good for the supernatural community. You want to be our boss? Shannon asked with a raised eyebrow. Because, bloodsucker, I can tell you right now that's not happening. Nope, not boss, Evan corrected. If you'll open your binders to page 2, you'll see a partnership plan laid out for the 3 of us to work together as equal members in the company. I followed along with Evan's directions, turning the pages. There was a cool logo of the face of a wolf that kind of looked like Odin and the brand on my chest. Paragraphs and bullet points of a well-thought-out business plan and partnership filled the document. I can handle things like finances, finding us an office to work out of, contracts and such, while the two of you focus on training and hunting." Evan looked at Mrs. Grundy. "I wouldn't really be a member of the hunting team or a member of the court, just a business partner." "I understand, and don't see an issue with it," Mrs. Grundy said. "You wouldn't be doing any of the hunting yourself." "Have you seen this face? It's made for business deals and reassuring clients," Evan said. "I'm more likely to use heavenly facial creams from Paris than have fists slammed into it." "Understood," Mrs. Grundy said with a nod. She looked at the two of us. "If this is what you two want, I don't see the court having issue." "Hunters for hire, huh?" Shannon asked. "I kinda like it. Stinky?" "If we are going to go down this path with the court, then I'd want to do it with the two of you," I said, looking toward Shannon and Evan. "I think the three of us are going to make a great team." Odin, who had been sniffing for sausage up to this point, barked. "The four of us," I corrected myself, reaching down to ruffle the hellhound's ears out of instinct. "The four of us are going to make a great team." For the first time since I knew the animal, he didn't pull away when I touched him.